Is there a time when auto white balance is a bad idea? Hello, welcome to AWB. I'm Ian Butterfield, and welcome to this quick question video. In a recent live stream, I was asked if there is ever a bad time to use auto white balance, and this is the answer I gave. Auto white balance. And the first thing to say is if you are shooting RAW files, it doesn't make any difference what your value of white balance is to the raw file, because it doesn't change the ones and zeros. It just gets written as a flag within the raw file as to say this was what the setting was. And your editing software will pick up on that and process with it. You can change it in post-production on a raw file as a free change. It has no difference at all. Now, that means for a lot of the time, I will just leave my camera on auto white balance and I can sort it all out later. There are, however, two particular times where I would not leave the camera on auto white balance, even when shooting RAW. The first one is when I'm in studio. If I've got a background behind my subject that is a big solid colour, auto white balance will analyse the image and produce a JPEG that may be incorrectly processed colour-wise, and you can get some horrible colour casts over it. So in the studio, I would always set my white balance to flash, so that the preview image on my camera, now it's the preview image that's affected, not the raw data. That preview image that you see on the back of your camera is a JPEG that the camera has created based on your settings. It does not affect the raw data. It does not, in some ways, doesn't even represent the raw data accurately. So, but I want that to be as accurate as I can so that I can assess my exposure, assess the image that I'm working with. So in the studio, I would always set my white balance to flash. There is a video on my YouTube channel. I think it's probably about half a dozen to a dozen videos back, that shows what happens if you use auto white balance with a big coloured background and you get horrible skin tones. The other time I would always change my white balance is if I'm working in an area where the white balance could change itself automatically. So an example for that might be in a church. If you were photographing a wedding, you might have lots of different coloured light sources. You might have a blue light streaming in from a window. You might have fluorescent lighting in there which has a green cast to it. You might have very orangey candle light in there. And all of those, depending on where you frame up your image, if you're off one way, the camera might process it one way, on another way. If you want the images on the back of your camera to be consistent, choose a particular white balance and stick with it for the entire time that you're in there. Which one would you use? Well, that's entirely down to you. Depends on the lighting that's dominant. Find what's dominant in that situation and set your white balance to that. So those are the two main areas. There is another area I might play around with it, and that is with sunsets to prevent the camera taking the orange away in the processing. But again, if it's a raw file, I can always sort it out later, so it's not the end of the world if I've got it wrong or I've chosen the wrong one. I hope you found this video on auto white balance helpful. If you want more great advice which will help improve your photography, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click that bell icon. You can also watch more videos from this channel, and you'll find some of those on the screen now. So until next time, keep making great photos, and thanks for watching.